Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, be sure to come join us. We have about 6,000, well, really over 6,000 members in there. So if you're a coach, consultant, or service provider that's looking for a really awesome community to be a part of, we'd definitely love to have you come join us. So today I want to introduce you to one of the members of our community, Patrice Chestnut. Welcome, Patrice.
Hi, Extus. It's so nice to be here, to be in the community, and to be sharing today. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. You are welcome. So tell us, Patrice, what is it that you do?
I am a brand coach. I help people tell their company's story by creating content and visuals and helping individuals develop that story.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing this technically for about 10 years now, specifically in the brand area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 10 years. Goodness, that qualifies you to be an expert right there, right?
Yes, I've made enough people smile and happy with their brand, so I can safely say there are a lot of people who would consider me an expert.
Yeah, love that, love that. Okay, so what got you started on this path?
Ironically, I went to school and I graduated from Methodist University in communications. And I started working in the publishing industry for newspapers and magazines and things like that. So in 2004, I opened a graphic design and printing company. And when I opened that company, a lot of people wanted graphic design services, and I was more than happy to help them.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started to create brochures or design websites and things like that, I kept running across one thing that kept happening, a recurring event. They did not have the content for these materials. So it was assumed that I was going to write them. And I said, well, I can write them, but this is a collaborative exercise and you would need to be involved in it to some degree. But that is an additional cost,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not just designing it now, I'm writing and designing it. So this was like pulling teeth for people. They really struggled with it. And it, I'm just going to say they were experts in their own field, but telling their story was something that they struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, it just prompted me to develop a workshop for my clients. All of those who wanted to attend would attend this workshop, and we would go through and identify their target audiences, their service or products that they were providing, what they did differently or better than their competitors. And so we built out what I call a brand Bible, something that they could refer to from that point on. And it would allow them to have unified messaging, whether it was for a website or brochure or a social media post. So it was just basically a capsule of that information. But that was all done in an in-person workshop that was about 3 or 4 days, depending on their ability to move quickly through it. And from that, I've had nonprofit agencies who they've seen exponential growth in enrollments for different programs, and B2B small businesses who started attracting more of the dream clients that they wanted to reach. So it wasn't until last year when someone brought it to my attention to say, I think you should take this online because it's pretty powerful and it's custom and it can help a lot of people. So that's how I got started in just wanting my clients to succeed and to arm them with the information to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's how all great entrepreneurs are born, right? So I know there's a philosophy in individuals who want to start a business where they say, well, I'm going to think of this really creative thing, maybe get a lawnmower and maybe attach a Wi-Fi to it and have it play like music or some interesting idea, right? And I'm going to go do that. And they spend like years trying to develop this thing. And then they bring it to the marketplace. And the people are like, what is this?
What
Like,
is this?
what is that? Versus the better way, the best way, especially when it comes to helping others, coaching, consultant type of advice, is to say, what's my prospect struggling with, right? Where the pain, what's the pain for them? What's difficult for them? And then saying, okay, how do I build a solution around that pain that they have? I believe that's such a powerful way to start business. Did you have any prior marketing experience before?
As a communications professional, really worked alongside the marketing team, but I wasn't directly in the marketing
Mm-hmm.
area when I worked for different employers. But I understand the marketing process, so my communications are geared towards that type of language or the call to actions that you would see, from a marketing professional.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I love that logo there. Build a better brand. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Who designed that? Did your team design that?
I did.
Oh, that's good.
Well, it's about attracting your dream clients. So I wanted the B to be sort of like a magnet on its side
Mm-hmm.
and use that and use the text to look like it's being drawn into the magnet. So
Mm-hmm.
build a better brand to attract your dream clients.
Yeah, love that. Love that. So
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of different individuals who have different perspectives on what it takes to succeed, to build a business and build a successful business. And every person seems to have a slight angle. So your angle seems, I guess, what is your core angle? Is it the brand?
It's the brand, but I'm really targeting creative service providers because these were the individuals who I connected with as clients. So, like your web designers, your graphic designers, design agencies, social media agencies, individuals along that line, photographers, videographers, because these are people who really function on the right side of the brain most of the time. They're very expressive, very creative, but they're going 90 miles per hour and their services are intangible. So a lot of people struggle with paying high ticket prices for things that are intangible. And so it's very important that the brand tells the story that builds the value behind it so the individual, the service provider, doesn't have to deal with a lot of barriers to yes. And so I wanted to help by creating Build a Better Brand. So your visuals, your content, your any type of way you connect with your brand, they can see from the beginning that you've invested time and effort in your brand and they have no problem investing in you.
Hmm. Okay, so you said one thing that stood out. You said build a brand, a story. I mean, how did you say you build a brand that builds the value? Because you said most of the individuals you mentioned, they're the creative side, right? It's the creative side of things. Um, and you're saying on the brand side, what do you what is that
Well,
again?
the
Sorry.
brand builds the value. So
Mm-hmm.
when your brand stands out, for instance, there's a difference when you go to a Mercedes dealership to get service or a
Mm-hmm.
Lexus dealership or even Mini Cooper, as opposed to, and I'm not downplaying American brands either, but the experience is different
Mm-hmm.
when you go to your higher ticket products and get service and get help from that particular brand. They want to create an experience for you. But as soon as you sit in the car, as soon as you go into the dealership, you know I'm in a place that's catering toward my needs and they're going to look out for me and they're putting me first. So when all of those things are in place, the price haggling really doesn't happen much in those environments. People just know I'm getting exactly what I pay for plus something extra, which is this experience. So when you have intangible services like your creative services, be it graphic design, videography, and things like that, when you can create a brand that's very strong and creates that similar experience for potential clients, you have less haggling involved and people will pay what they need to pay to get your service. Because with intangible services, people tend to haggle. In my 25 years experience, I've found that there are more people who come to a graphic designer and say, "But I want you to design this, but I only want to pay $60 for it." So they have to get over that hurdle. And the way to get over that hurdle is to be proactive in their approach. And the way to do that is through branding.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what are some elements? What all makes up a brand in your perspective?
Well, it's your archetype, which is what you offer, be it a product or a service, the benefits of those things, the content, the messaging that speaks to your products or your services, the way you structure those messages that speak directly to who you're targeting, which I refer to as your dream client, how it impacts the way you differentiate between your competitor. That's important. You're also creating visuals. So we're talking about studying color theory, creating mock-ups, doing case studies or surveys to your potential dream clients to see, does this speak to you? Does this grab you? It's also about styling for photography. It even boils down to simple things like how you answer the phone, what's in your signature and your team member's signature in your emails. Everything has to be succinct for it to work together and build this strength.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, in essence, would you consider yourself a pretty creative person as well too?
Oh yes, I'm right brain, but I have worked long enough and hard enough to understand that the operations side of me is where I shine as well, which is why I'm able to help individuals walk through the first contact or connection with the client all the way through fulfillment, and to make sure there are systems and processes in place so that as this client goes through your, I call it workflow funnel, every touch solidifies and re-emphasizes the brand.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, what mistakes do you see most, let's say, whether it's photographers, web designers, what mistakes do you see them making as they're online? Because what's a core problem you help them solve? Is it getting clients, making money? What's a core problem you help them solve?
Well, the core problem is one, thinking that the business is about you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about you. You're the foundation of it, but it's about meeting the needs of those people who you intend to serve. So a lot of times I've run into, um, for instance, when you're designing a logo. Well, I like green and yellow. It doesn't matter what you like. It's the color that your dream client is attracted to, because you can find that satisfaction in your own colors when you're doing social things for yourself. But what you want to do is use colors that attract the client that you want to gain and that you want to help, and understanding how important that is. So, understanding first that it's not about you, it is about the individual you're trying to serve. Now, the next thing I see as a problem is doing things in the wrong order, which is why a lot of uh, organizations or companies that I've run into, they have to rebrand,
Mm-hmm.
because along the way, while connecting with these clients that they've learned things about the client that makes them have to fine tune and tweak things or redo things. So I have individuals that I've helped that have to actually go through a rebrand process. So it's not that they struggle with finding clients, it's retaining them and not confusing them during the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. I love what you said about realizing that it's whatever you're building, right? It's not for you. But I think it's a thing. It's kind of like a rookie mistake when someone just gets started, they might have seen somebody else with a successful business and they're like, oh my God, this person, I want to be just like them in some way. and then they go build their business, and now they're just focused on, I'm going to make this thing about me. This is my thing. And not just
Right.
that, but then they go out, try to get clients, and then they try to tell, like, say, hey, no, this is what you should want, and this is how you should do it, right? Versus just say, no, 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 figure out what that other person wants and just give them that, because number one, they'll be happy, and number two, that's what they'll pay you for, right?
Right,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And then also another thing that I do when I'm helping people build brands is in the process of getting the work done, I provide them with technology suggestions to help them get this thing off the ground a lot faster. So a lot of times you'll have branding consultants or experts that will help you develop that brand. But once you have it, you're like, I'm armed with all of this, but I don't know how to get it done. So giving you those tools and helping you get everything set up, that's a part of the process as well.
Mm-hmm. Love that, love that. And what's in essence, I guess the next question becomes, as you go on your journey, right? What's the do you find that most individuals they're proactive about the brand? Is it something most individuals come in already like knowing about it, or do you find it takes a lot more education upfront for someone to realize the importance of what you do?
Yes, branding is not a quick sell by any means. It is something that you have to educate individuals about, and that education in the beginning is what birthed this program that I've created because you want this brochure or you want this website or you want these emails written for your email campaign, but you don't know what to say. And so having that information is what helps people get started. But they have to have that light bulb moment to say, oh, yeah, I don't have all of these things in place, or they're not succinct, or it's not a unified message. It's like there's no consistency in it. So I really do need to take a step back and look at building my brand.
Hmm. Awesome. So what about you in terms of I guess skills wise, right? Let's say with yourself where you are right now in your life, your business, a success that you've created for yourself. Are there any skills you've mastered that you would say have has gotten you to where you are today?
Yes, I'm a master at creating systems and processes and workflows. And so that helps with the step by step approach that I use. And I'm also very down to earth, but I'm direct and I am an accountability partner. So building a brand is not an easy process, but I'm a process person. So if you give me steps, I'm going to follow them. I may scratch my head and pull my hair out along the journey, but I understand that there is so much um, satisfaction when you can complete the process and come out on the end where you desire and reach your goals. So in being direct, I'm not wasting your time. I know you have a lot of heavy lifting to do to build this brand. So I think I can honor you best by being direct and not rude or anything like that, but being direct and letting you know this is what we need to get done and this is how we're going to get there. And also customize an approach for each individual. So with the online course training that people have access to, they also get weekly virtual coaching sessions with me via video so that I can take each person individually through the process and customize everything for their specific needs.
Hmm. Awesome. What about habits, right? Are you what habits would you say you've developed that's really served you as far as on your journey?
I, in the mornings, I have a devotion that I do to get my mind clear and to be fresh and start. And then I come to my computer and I sit down and I prioritize all of the goals for the day. I have things written out in a planner for the month that I want to do, but I back those things up and break it down on a weekly format. So once I'm at the weekly format, then I decide based on those goals that I need to accomplish for the week what I'm going to do each day. And I don't stop until I check my whole list off for that day. So some days it can be a lot shorter than others, but I've become disciplined to make sure I take the tiny steps to reach the bigger goals.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I know a lot of individuals who do become entrepreneurs, who do start a business. They go on a place of, I'll just start this piece here, I'll do that piece here, I'll do this piece here, and they end up at the end of a week, a month, a year with just a whole bunch of incompleteness, right? Versus the best way is just say, okay, pick something and bring it to completion. Pick another thing, bring it to completion, and just take that approach, right?
And there's a tool, of online tool that has a free plan as well as paid plans, but I refer my clients to it, and it's called simpleology.com.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, you can actually have this tool help you with that process, like your monthly goals, and break them down and back them up till you get to a daily, target of what you want to do each day. So I try to help clients get into that discipline or routine of doing those things by using that free tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, awesome. So next question becomes whether it's are you pretty big into like what when it comes to self-education? Do you read books, listen to podcasts? What's your
Yes, I
go-to
take
method?
I take it all in. I read books, I listen to podcasts, I even have my own podcast as well that I produce. So I've done everything from webinars to reading books to finding mentors or coaches. And I do believe that that is one of the keys to success. You have to have a mentor or a coach. Even if you are a coach, you need someone that you can reach up to. And I give the analogy of the hairdresser who never does her hair. You can't look at her hair to know and understand how well her service will be for you, but she needs someone to do her hair as well. And I think that's because we were designed to serve others. So it's difficult when we try to do everything for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a great story I heard on that, as far as when you say we're designed to help others, a story that was told by Wayne Dyer. I remember I think I read in this book, or either maybe in this audio program or something, but he talked about what heaven and hell is like, right? So he said with hell, it's just there's these it's a beautiful day, the sun is out, the birds are chirping, and there's these big pots of food just cooking. It just smells so good. But then when you look at everyone in hell, like they're all just so angry. They're just like mad at each other. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're cussing. They're really, really skinny. And they have like spoons in the hand, and you're like, why are they like that? And the thing is, they're starving. And the thing is, like, why
Mm,
are they starving? And then he says the same thing with heaven. Heaven is the it's the same experience, right? The birds are chirping, the sun is out, there's food cooking, but everyone else is running, laughing, having fun, and all these different types of things. It's like, what's the difference? Well, it turns out the only difference is in hell. Well, in both of them, it's the same situation, which is in hell. Well, both of them, the hands of the individuals, it bends backwards, so they have these long wooden spoons in the hand. But if our hand it bends forward, so we could feed ourselves. But because in hell and with the individuals there, your hands bend backward, you can't feed yourself. So in hell, because they can't feed themselves, then what they just do is they're just angry at every single person. They're screaming on all these different things. Versus in heaven, they realize that, okay, I can't feed myself, but I could feed my neighbor. And they start
mm,
using their hands to feed the neighbors. So each person, they're feeding each other, right? And I believe that's so powerful, right? Because that's
it
one of the things
is.
I believe, that's one of the places where when you realize that at the end of the day, really what we do, it's really about service. It's about finding a place where you could serve others. That's where I believe the biggest transformations, the biggest success in life and in business comes from.
I agree. I totally agree.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, what about what's a recent book, or maybe just over your lifetime? What's a book? Are there any books you could like point at that you could say, man, this book has really had a great impact on whether it's how I think or what I do, or maybe an idea I got that's got me to where I'm at today?
Oh wow, there's so many. I need to pull up.
Mhm.
I need to pull up my list. The latest ones that I I've been reading are more related to self-improvement or introspective approaches.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really business related, but starting with why is one of those books that I've read. I'm gonna cheat and look at my Audible account just to see. Um, but starting with why, and then others about teamwork and collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
and working together, um, making goals and starting goals. Those are important for me. I'm starting to read Becoming by Michelle Obama. That's on my next list. So those are some of the few that I've read. But the podcast, I mostly focus on mindset and positivity.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Positive Pants podcast that's on, I think it's Spotify. And I listen to that because it's brief. And then there's another podcast that I listen to that I simply, all the woman does is call out 3 positive statements. And you have to write them down 5 times and then repeat that, say it aloud to yourself 5 times. And so what I've done is I've created these little index cards. Let me see if I can, it won't show through the screen.
Yeah.
But I've created these little index cards where I handwrite the information so that it sticks, because when you write it rather than typing it, your brain processes the information better. So I have a stack of these on my desk in front of me, and I just flip through them each day to make sure I give myself these positive reminders.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's powerful. So you said the podcast. She just has 3 affirmations. She just says them, and then the goal is to write them and then say them out.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's specifically designed for small business and individuals and entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've enjoyed it. I stumbled upon it, and I can't believe that I've lived my whole life without it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Mhm.
Love that. Love that. Now, question becomes: if someone wanted to reach out, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
They can connect with me via email is probably the best way, because we get a first connection that way. And it's Vatrice at affinitymediaconsulting.com.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Love that. What about resources? Do you have any resources, free resources you give away?
I do. And I give those away based on the individual's needs, because I have what I call packaged knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed to discover your personal brand before you even start on your business brand, I have a free PDF with download information, and it's a fillable PDF that you can walk through and follow the steps. But I give these out based on what people's needs are.
Mm-hmm.
There are others that help you decide on how to create a team or partner with the individual, and understanding the attributes and how their strengths may be your weaknesses. So how to partner together to build these brands or build the teams that will support the brands. And also, I have another free tool that I give people on discovering who their dream client is and being able to identify who that person is. So it's about a 4 to 5 page ebook that is fillable as well. And I take you through a step-by-step process. But again, I just like to meet with the individual or talk to them or have some type of email exchange to know what's the best tool I can provide for them. Because being in this industry for more than 20 years, I could send you a library of things, but they may not all be useful to you. So customizing it to your needs is what's important.
Mm-hmm. Love it, Patrice. Well, hey, we're out of time here, but thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today and sharing your knowledge. Really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
I just want to thank you, and I appreciate all of the information you provide within the community and all of the work that you're doing to really help others succeed. it's a great heart effort, and I appreciate your efforts.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, again, thanks again, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Okay, bye-bye.
Awesome.